Welcome back to Talking Hats. I'm Monty Squiggs.
And I'm Old Ben Wolfie. So, what exactly makes a good esport?
What exactly makes an esport? You're talking like we actually watch esports in the first place.
Well, that's just it. That's actually what brings up this episode is the fact that realistically, as much as we love our Blizzard games, as much as we love our gaming, as much as we enjoy the digital entertainment and all that. Honestly, I can't watch people play games. I can watch them to some extent, but in a competitive sense, watching League of Legends and even Here's the Storm.
Here's a Storm we can follow.
We can follow, but the problem is that it's not a dynamic enough game.
No, it's like somewhere between football and golf.
Yeah.
Not quite as fast as one or slow as the other.
Exactly.
Planning and technique, but
right. But the thing is that it's also the fact that it's the fact of the lack of dynamic, on the fly changing. It's the fact that it's not as much as it is a 1v1. It's very, very. While it's team focused, it is slower paced. It's very, very slower paced. Games like Heroes, games like League, they're very poke games. They're lots and lots of poking, and they also drag on indefinitely, and they can sometimes.
Oh, please, StarCraft. I even tried to watch StarCraft.
Right. The other thing is that there is no. I mean, it's the buildup of the game is dynamically different than even But the thing is, even games like Counter-Strike and Quake and all these games I enjoy playing, but I don't really enjoy watching someone else. It's kind of fun to watch people pull off cool trick shots in certain games.
You get the compilation videos.
Yeah.
Watch the highlights.
When you watch a highlight video, you're like, but I can't sit there and watch people play these games competitively. I've never been one for sports to begin with. But yet, I find Overwatch fascinating. Yeah. Mostly because the dynamic nature. We're starting to watch the Overwatch League.
Yeah, we're behind everything, so we have to catch up, and we're not watching everything. We're only watching our team.
Our team, the Philadelphia Fusion, because we happen to be in Philadelphia and they happen to be there.
Yeah, so, it's not a great reason, but you know what? What other reasons people follow sports teams for? Isn't it always they just follow their city team? How often is it you follow some other city team if you didn't, grow up there or something, or marry someone from there?
Yeah, or if you have some sort of, real attachment to another player or something something of that nature. I mean, we've discussed the Overwatch...
The World Cup earlier
the World Cup,
last year.
which was land of, South Korea curb stomping everything.
At least this past one was America does actually a little better.
Yeah, this one was it's the fact that while Korea definitely had their
they still won practically hand over fist. Well, but they had to fight for it.
Yeah, they had to fight. It's it wasn't the embarrassment that was the Koreans versus Russia. That was actually. I
remember the Russian team was fairly good from the year prior. So.
But the thing is that they got it's not even that they got their asses handed to them. It's that they got they literally got their necks cut off at the top. They were cut off at the neck. It was horrible. It was almost painful to watch. You're like, stop.
Oh my god.
But what is fun is that we're watching this current. We're watching the current game. We've watched half of their matches so far because we've only watched.
Well, we've watched all of their current matches, so...
No, we didn't watch. We never watched them play Shanghai. We didn't watch them curb stomp. We've only seen them... We saw them lose twice and one win once, and they're 2-2.
I thought we watched all 4 games.
No, we didn't watch them play Shanghai. We didn't watch them play Shanghai, which looked like a kind of a rout on the part of Shanghai. I was like, poor Shanghai. They're not...
But, we got 2 games coming up this week.
We got 2 games coming up this week, which we're going to watch... often
attempt to watch live.
Yeah, we're gonna attempt to watch live. We're just not both the same place because I'm going out of town, so this should be interesting.
Yeah, but you can get the Gothlings involved.
Yeah, I can definitely watch it. But what's fascinating about the game, and the reason why the game is so fun to watch, is the dynamic nature of it. The fact that one person can be playing, D.Va one moment, and then switch to switch to Zarya, and then come in and completely change the dynamic of the fights.
Yeah, which is something you don't get in other first-person shooter games like Counter-Strike or. I'm sure there are other ones.
I'm sure there are other ones that people actually follow.
I mean, that's probably one reason why people of Players Unknown Battleground is because it's basically Battle Royale the game.
Right.
So you don't have the same, everyone is just, running around cover shooting thingy, but I don't know if they have a true spectator mode for that. So it'd be interesting if they did, if they had like a true spectator mode for that, and you could actually have people jumping around the talking going around the map. That might actually be interesting. I might watch that.
But it's also interesting is that I don't think that I could adequately be a shoutcaster I couldn't be an impartial one. Let's just say I am always amazed at the impartiality of these.
It's a practice skill.
It must be, because there are some times where I'm like, I'd be curious to see if there was actually, they started introducing shoutcasters who were watching the same footage, but from different, like a shoutcaster for each team.
That would be interesting.
So, like the New York reporter, the Philly reporter, because I'm watching, there are some times where you have to begrudgingly, even when the Fusion lost some of their matches, you have to begrudgingly respect some of the...
Like, it wasn't curb stomping all around. I mean, I swear, I think after their first major stomp, I think Fusion lost a bit in morale, because they just did not... They came back strong too late.
Yeah, they kept
too long to come back.
They kept rallying towards. I mean, the problem is that the fifth map against the Gladiators was kind of like they fell apart, which was I think that was actually fatigue.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that we noticed in the Overwatch World Cup was that a lot of teams were, if they went to 5 games, especially against South Korea, they'd fall apart, because in the 5th game you're over an hour of straight playing. Rather 2 hours. You're usually around the 2 hour mark of straight playing.
Especially if you go to extra games, like World Cup, you can go to extra games.
Yeah, it's like these people were oftentimes.
I can remember like at least 4 different times that we did. Hanamura had like 6 rounds, and that's even though they're not full rounds after the first 2, that's still rough.
Because it's, you're trading off it's the different rule sets. But the thing that's funny is that I was talking to Mudley about this, and Mudley can't understand the concept of watching competitive esports. He just doesn't understand the idea of watching a game for. Meanwhile, he's a hockey fan, so I'm sitting there going like,
it's just like that.
To me, it
really is just like that.
Actually, it's very, very much like hockey, and sometimes, except for the fact that there's more scoring involved, a lot more scoring, and you can actually kill your opponents.
Right, and this is the one sport that has more violence than hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Or rugby.
Exactly. But
and there's no penalty box.
It is, yeah. No, your penalty box is for dying mostly.
There you go. It's your respawn timer.
You get a what? 9 seconds. 10 seconds for dying.
That's not supposed to how those are supposed to work. You're supposed to punish the one who did the problem.
No, but that's the goal. But watching, in particular, Shadowburn. Shadowburn on the Philadelphia Fusion. And Carpe.
Okay. Shadowburn, Carpe, and Poco. I don't think I saw Poco play anything other than D.Va, and he's a beast on D.Va.
I mean, it's almost these inhuman characters. These people are inhuman, because watching Poco's D.Va just blows me away in the fact that
how many people he'll get with her ult. Constantly.
He'll continuously get he'll get these really, really weird trick shot D.Va ult murders. He caught 2. It was when he caught the 2, and he caught the 2, damaged the Winston, because I think the Winston was in primal rage at the time. Brought the Winston down pretty frigging low, and then it's just the fact that these board clears, these weird board clears they were playing.
He doesn't kill anybody. He scatters them enough that his team's able to clean them up.
Between Shadowburn on either Pharah or on Genji, it was just like I'm still.
And then Carpe's Tracer.
Carpe's Tracer was just was especially early on.
I just think that his Tracer is better than most of the other people during the World Cup who played a lot of Tracer.
But it's what I love about Poco in particular is the the ability to drop in, fire off the bunch of Helix rockets, do the attack, hit somebody, scoot back out, circle around, lather, rinse, repeat, all without dying, and taking much damage either. It's like, having a healer handy to heal you back up, and then just, like, basically brutalizing.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times Poco would actually just literally whack someone to death? I saw at least 2 or 3 during one match. No, Poco. Okay. Poco go up with mech. Bang! I'm watching these melee kills. I'm going, that's just...
Oh goodness! I think it was it Shadowburn on Oasis, going after the Winston, and the Winston tried to jump up and get him. Mm-hmm. Didn't get him. Goes down and just drops behind him, and punches the monkey in the butt, and then ding.
That was actually because he was the aerial combat on Shadowburn side. Mm-hmm. It was fun to watch only because it's more team-based sports than most sports. Honestly, it is team-based. It is a lot of coordination.
More of your success in the game is based around how well your team composition works, and less like you can have a star player, but if no one can play complementary with that star player or vice versa, you'll get some benefit out of it, but not your real benefit.
That's part of the reason why the reason why they're doing so well is because they have 3 really super competent players, and they're still kind of finding their footing, because apparently, due to visa issues, which is kind of interesting when you're constantly importing your players. I mean,
this is what happens in sports teams in general. It's just that, football and baseball aren't a global league. They're only a national league, but they're still doing that constantly.
I find it absolutely hilarious that London Spitfire and the New York Excelsior are all comprised of South Koreans.
We have Poco.
Well, no, we have Poco. We have
There's one more. I think it was on the reserve side.
No. What's the Poco was the. No, it's the one the Tracer player.
Really, Carpe is?
Carpe, yeah. Mm-hmm. Carpe was the one who was when they finished the match thing. You see his screen come up in Korean, and I'm like,
no, it was Poco.
No, that was Carpe.
Poco as well.
Poco and Carpe. I mean, all the South Koreans.
I mean, it makes sense. Playing your native language is easier, even if you're still communicating with your team in English.
Although I think that
I don't know. We didn't.
Oh, I can't remember the team leader's name. One of the Team Finland, or Team IKEA. But his actual screen's in English, not in in Swedish, which I thought was kind of fascinating. Or at least that's from what I saw. I mean, that may not be true, but I'm pretty sure it was. Sorry. But it's funny that we were able to watch. I think we watched like 5 hours of.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of after the first game, I kind of tune out a little bit, so I have to force myself to pay attention.
Yeah, well.
But it is long.
Yeah.
If we just watch one game at a time, not one game then another game, then it might be a little better.
The problem, the biggest issue that we're seeing is there's a kind of fatigue, a tunnel vision that sits in. This is the fact that after a while you start seeing
There's a reason why most people only watch their team games and not the entire season with other sports.
Exactly, because the things
there are people who get season tickets and will go to every single game.
It also doesn't help the fact that we already because we're watching them on delay. We already knew what was happening.
We knew the spoilers. Now the upcoming games, if we manage to actually watch them live, which we have the time to do, we won't have spoilers. We'll have to pay attention. So that will probably help.
But watching some of the replay shots on some of those. The Inhuman.
I forget. I think it was it Houston that did? No, I think it was. What's the last team we watched them play? The purple.
Gladiators.
The Gladiators. That one rip tire when he caught both. I think it was the Mercy and the Zenyatta, 2 healers, right in the doorway, coming up to this point B of Temple Anubis, and he's just like, pop, and it's like, wow, that's an amazing tire.
That was
like we didn't want them to win, but that was a good play.
But then watching some of it was it I think it was Carpe on Widowmaker pulling off these,
like threading the needle. Like we have a pillar here, and a doorway, and he gets right down the middle of all three, and it's like, how do you get that shot?
Whoever was playing, I can't remember who was playing their Zenyatta, but their Zenyatta was insane.
Oh yeah,
was killing people, like just pulling off these sniper shots at the Zenyatta, and I'm just like,
just setting his charge orbs off in a direction, and then you see the tick 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 of the
confirmed hits. Or the kill shot. It's like, killed. But you're like. And he was really, really good at taking out Mercies.
The question is, do they just fire it off and hope, or does he know? Is he planning to hit them?
Well, the thing is that, if you've played these maps like these guys do, and these guys play it for hours and hours a day, you know where the choke points are. You know where, the flankers are going to have to come from, or they're going to try and come from. So the things, you start going, okay, this is a good shot of, if nothing else, you're suppressing fire. And a lot of his shots were suppressing fire shots. But it was amazing how many times this guy would just line up shots and just unload down a corridor or down, down near where the spawn point is kind of in that general direction and still peg somebody. And it must suck by being killed by a Zenyatta across the map.
Like, what the hell killed me?
Zenyatta killed me from across the map. It's like these blind shot kills are amazing.
And in spectator mode, how we can see the teams through the walls and whatnot. But you'll notice that a lot of times when they're waiting and going around corners, it's almost like they can see where they're going to come from.
Well, because
you're right. So it's like how well they know the maps. They're literally predicting where the enemy is going to come from and being right a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm. It's like. You start getting into that's what happens when you start getting into this kind of the roboticness of it was really funny. That's why I keep joking that they should start checking these people for neural implants, because some of these players are
is Flower an android?
Yeah, I'm still not entirely convinced Flower's not an android, because some of the shots that he was pulling off as Widowmaker
the World Cup was he was someone to watch.
And
my goodness.
The thing about it is that whether or not you are a particular fan of this is why the question is, what makes a good esport is the fact of it is the combination of coordination of skill, coordination of the individual player skill, the team skill, the coordination. There's also a luck factor. Let's not kid ourselves here, because in the chaos of some of these little fur balls when everyone's attacking each other.
Yeah, it's how do you keep it all straight?
How do you keep it all straight? And but the inhuman levels of precision that are required when you see people making snapshots with Widowmaker,
which you can't do as much as you did before. Like before, you could literally scope shot on scope, and they put the animation in there to make sure you had to wait for the whole thing. It wouldn't go quickly, whatever. You couldn't snipe anybody. But even with that, you still the shing, boom.
And there were a couple of times when it was, I think it was Shadow. No, it was why do I keep forgetting his name? The other Asian player on Fusion. Carpe. There watching Carpe sniping on that Junkertown. He's pulling off these insane shots. Literally, it's just because they slow-mo the shot. So the thing is, you're literally seeing...
Getting the replays is nice.
Yeah, what you're seeing is literally the pulling up of the shot, watching the tracer move in, and then going, pop, pop, ding. And remember when it was, I think it was either Carpe or Shadowburn had switched over to Mercy, and the guy rezzed the McCree right in front of him, and he was just like, pop. That was free kill. It was,
that has sucked.
That was definitely one of the most amusing things I've seen. It was just the fact that the McCree pops up, the McCree's dead.
And I think another reason why this is making for a good esport is the game is easy to understand.
Uh-huh.
You may not be able to follow all the chaotic moments, depending on how familiar you are with the game, but they've actually gotten some really good shoutcasters. So if you're paying attention to what they're saying while you watch, you're actually getting good information. You're
right.
able to follow it a lot better, and that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
So it's like, the more you know the game, the more you've played the game yourself, the better you'll be able to follow it. But I could, someone who likes video games but has never played Overwatch, I think could still follow this sport and enjoy themselves.
That's and part of that is the fact that because you're not locked into playing the same, there's also the fact that there's always surprises, like when Gladiators pulled out Doomfist, and no one was prepared for that. Like during the Overwatch, during the World Cup, when they pulled out on was it Eichenwald, where they pulled out Bastion, or he pulled out Bastion just out of his it's like pulled out
and wrecked with him
and completely massacred the other team.
And that's the thing I think it has this is the advantage it has over other first person shooter esports is you have the character variety. Mm-hmm. You don't have a team made of almost clones.
Right.
Fighting another team of almost clones. Like, even if both teams have the exact same character setup, everyone's playing, they mirror each other, there's still much more variety going on in the field, and it's not the same, not every player is playing exactly the same way, which stuff like Counter-Strike and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of part of it, but...
Do you happen to remember what the name of the guy playing the opposing team Gladiators Tracer? Because he was a completely different, although not as good, he was very good on his Tracer. And I can't remember, it started with a K or something, but...
No, I don't.
But, yeah, we were just watching it last night. It was late.
Yeah, we were watching it late, like we usually do. And we're not actually recording this at, 5 in the morning.
For a change.
We actually slept first. It helped a bit.
It helps. It definitely helps provide pro focus. But he was... One of the things that was interesting was that his style of playing Tracer was much more poke and dive in and out, whereas Carpe is much more dive straight through, out to the other side, next group. And
yeah, that's true.
But Carpe, the thing about Carpe was like
Carpe could get a lot of kills too.
Carpe was just murdering people. He was straight up. He was definitely heavier in the engage and dodge. So the thing is, usually when you play Tracer is a particular character because she's fragile but extremely fast.
I mean, if you can get a full clip of bullets into somebody, you'll do a lot of damage. But she's not someone that's intended to take someone in a duel.
Yeah, she's not really a duel-y character. She's McCree's, and Widowmakers can take her out easy if they can pin her down. Mm-hmm. Her advantage is her speed. Carpe is in there basically right up to Winston half the time, or a Winston or a Mercy or a Diva, a Winston or a Diva, or other characters. I mean, also zipping around the Junkrat and just And
the advantage is if you can manage to dodge around that close and not stay in one place, it's not as easy to hit you. Mm-hmm. You can time a melee hit and get you, yeah, sure, but if you're going fast enough, the tanks are not going to be able to turn fast enough to follow you.
That was watching Carpe play Mercy Tracer was just insane, because of the fact that I'm not used to seeing Mercy. I keep saying Mercy. I'm not used to seeing Tracer in combat like that. I'm not used to seeing Tracer in the middle of fights. I'm used to seeing Tracer trying to peel off individuals so that more beefy fighters, more beefy DPS can take them down. Also got to watch I can't remember which it was. I think it was during the Philadelphia Fusion's battle with the Houston Outlaws. The
one that trumped.
Yeah, but there was the Warrior Mercy. I caught it. I was actually reading something, some alert on CNN, and I look up something about Warrior Mercy, and then they show the replay, and it's like didn't have anyone to heal, pulls a Mercy, flips over to the gun, and goes pop pop dead. I'm like, oh my god! It's because that's
well, yeah, I remember you do have that gun.
Yes, and it's actually beefier now.
Yeah, I think they did buff it a bit, especially if you're in Valkyrie mode.
Mm-hmm. It is funny that during we did see pretty straight straightforward standard team compositions. Your tried and true dive teams. Your tried and true
I think it was the Gladiators tried to throw Moya in there for a little bit.
They had Moira and Doomfist, and we got to see.
I think they brought out May on a Temple of Anubis once for a very short period of time.
Mostly to get Orisa up on because you bring out May to get you can lift people with the wall. So got Orisa up high for a good turret position. And the thing is that we saw a lot more change-ups in these compositions than we did in the Overwatch World Cup.
Yeah.
In the World Cup, it was pretty much
they played one or two characters basically all the time.
Right. And the thing is that there was very little. The team compositions were very stable. Of course, the other thing was that was before. I think that was before. I'm not even sure if Doomfist was available. The thing, and that's what Doomfist. Doomfist was still for the purposes of the meta and for the purposes of competitive mode. I think that everyone was avoiding Doomfist because he was still not tuned properly. And Moira wasn't available, of course. And the thing was that we were seeing, I think we did see, you would run with an Orisa, and if Orisa didn't work, you'd switch over to Zarya or something like that. But the thing is, the idea was that people would stick to one or two characters, and that's part of the reason why during the Overwatch World Cup, pulling out a Bastion, who is not traditionally seen during these.
We'll just throw everybody
because no one was ready for it.
Even if it's a few seconds before they get used to it, if that's all you need.
And he ran with it for a while. That was the problem.
Oh yeah, he was taking it all the way down. It was like the only other time you saw Bastion was when they were doing the pirate ship on Junkertown.
But the funny thing was that when he ran that Bastion, he survived a fair bit of time, and it was kind of actually hilarious to watch because nobody knew because the standard team compositions don't have anything to defend against the Bastion. So the thing is that while they're trying desperately to kill the Bastion that's out there, you've got this little gunner turret that's just basically mopping up anything that moves within range.
Yeah, because the dirt does a lot of damage.
And he was also dead eye accurate on it. So it's
that helps.
You take 3 seconds of damage, and unless you're a tank, you're dead. So. It was actually quite hilarious to watch because it was literally watching the entire team go, "What the fuck? Let's go! What the fuck?" It was that. But again, it's that kind of turnabout. Watching someone pull off a sweep, and there were so many shots where we were like, "Oh my god, man!"
Yeah. I don't know any other. I mean, granted, I haven't really watched any, so there could be, but I don't really know any other sport, forget esport specifically, esport, other sport, that has this kind of, dynamicism to it.
It's the thing about hockey, which is the closest thing, is because of the constant pace, but the problem is that there's the back and forth with, it's the fights are the rare thing, whereas in Overwatch, the fight is the thing. And I mean, you see a lot of but there's no scoring. There's no score point.
There's scoring.
Well, no. There's no score point. So the thing is, the idea is that someone's going to win this match.
Right.
Yeah. There's times when one team will the give and take of it is a huge draw, and I think that's part of the reason why. Heroes of Storm, which is just the problem with the Heroes of Storm is because of the extremely slow ramp up of power, is a lot of the first,
and for a MOBA, it has a very fast pace.
Yeah, it's for fast pace for MOBA. It's to those of you out there who actually watch League of Legends streams, bless your heart, because I cannot figure out. I'm sitting there going, I
have no idea what's going on.
No, the problem is I play Heroes, and I've played a little bit of LoL, so I'm like, I know what's going on, but I'm going. Making something important happens, because the thing about it is, it's basically all it is poking your opponents for enough defense to try and do try and do engagements, and even in Heroes, which is admittedly a faster paced version of that, there's still a lot of,
So they're just running across the map. Okay.
Oh, they're running across the map where, look, these people are circumventing this group to try and take this mercenary camp to go send the mercenaries off that way. Okay, they're diverting away from that. It's fine, but the problem is there's long periods of essentially downtime. Whereas with Overwatch, it is a constant. I mean, there's usually the slowest periods in the game are usually the bad engagement goes badly. One team has to reset. That usually will last for about 8 seconds.
And then you'll have like almost 5 minutes downtime.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, it's 8 seconds. No, but the thing is, you have uptime. You have like there's like because the matches there's timed every match to some extent with the exception of control. No, because of control points, it's someone's in control of it. So therefore, once someone takes control of it, the map that your counter starts counting.
Right.
So even if you're going back and forth constantly, you've only got X number of times before someone will win the map. So obviously, there's a timer involved. When you're playing timed maps, you're racing to get to the next checkpoint so you can add to your time back.
If you're attacking and you succeed, you win. If you're defending and they don't exceed, you win.
Exactly. But what's funny is that they'll be held. Sometimes you'll be held for like 3-4 minutes at a spot, and then they'll push the rest of it. They'll push the rest of the way.
And they'll just break the team, and they won't be able to reform quick enough to stop your advance, and you take the match.
Right.
Or you're like dominating the whole match, and then they stop you at like the very 0.1 meter.
That's what happened.
And they hold you there.
And that's happened to that happened to Philadelphia Fusion at least twice during the match.
I think two losses when they were in attack. They had that. Yeah. They got so close.
They literally got right. They were on
right there.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that they also the problem. There were only a couple of instances where they were seriously just in disarray and
but it's all it takes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes. All you need is lose the right amount of ground, even if it's only for a little bit, and it's just a climb back up. You just have enough time to get the rest of it.
Yeah, if you're not if something happens to the mind game of it, you're screwed. But watching so many times, as I said, you can there's also the fact that what's great about Overwatch is that you can have a control point where you have to get 100% control,
mm-hmm.
and someone will get it, hold it for 99%, and then lose it because they couldn't hold it.
Other team will just take it all the way.
Yeah,
we saw that at least 4 times in the World Cup.
Oh my God, the World Cup, that's almost standard now, where it's like whoever's actually it's harder to hold it than it is to take it.
Yeah.
So. Because usually it's strange because a lot of times whoever actually takes it first loses it, because the idea is that they're fighting you're not fighting to establish dominance, you're fighting to figure out where your team's vulnerabilities are, and that's the thing that makes Overwatch so much more fun,
mm-hmm.
is that you can see the kind of deviousness, the deeper thought that's involved.
And it's kind of like watching a epic battle scene in a fantasy movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's all planned out, but you're like, they're doing good. Oh no, this happened. Oh, but look, they're coming back. It's that kind of up and down. You just don't have in other sports.
And even knowing that Philadelphia Fusion was going to lose the Gladiators game,
we still watched it.
We watched it, and we're just sitting there watching. And I mean, I was kind of worried that it would be a rout, but
it wasn't. It was actually they were very strong early on. I think it's like
they picked up the first 2 games.
It's like 2, 3, 1 point, which I think that one they lost, and then
right.
It's just.
They just kept not being able to cross the line, because there were a couple of times where they almost had it, and they couldn't quite typical of Philly teams.
But hey, it's like as the last game we've watched, they're 2 for 2, 2 mm-hmm. losses, 2 wins, and that's probably already a better average for a Philly team.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Can you tell I wasn't born in Philly?
Neither one of us were.
We're kind of here by default, not because. But the thing is that we're like.
Basically the Fusion is lucky there's no San Diego team. Although, why don't you care about Excelsior?
Oh, because they're all Asians, man. It's like
they're not New Yorkers. I don't care about them.
They're imported, man. It's like it's like the bougie imported.
Your city imported their team.
I know. Well, it's typical for New Yorkers, man. Typical bougie New Yorkers. They import their gamers, from outside.
It'd be interesting because Los Angeles has 2 teams.
Seattle would probably have locally homegrown, organic gamers.
It's like instead of having 2 Los Angeles teams, why don't we have a San Diego team? I mean, there probably just isn't that much of a gamer presence down there.
San Francisco. No, there's 2 Los Angeles.
No, Los Angeles has 2. I know there's also San Fran. But it's like Los Angeles has 2 teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. I'm like,
why can't one of those be in San Diego? Then I might actually care about something other than Fusion.
Yeah.
But hey, since there's not, the Fusion has me.
Yeah, it's like, and the thing is that as like watching the all Asian all the time teams kind of dominate the leaderboards. Now, mind you, none of them actually played each other yet, so this is it's kind of it's going to be fun to watch them eat, like literally devour each other later. We're kind of looking forward to that, but it was just the fact that we're watching the league, and we had kind of like, honestly, we were kind of like, we
didn't initially start watching because we're like, do we really care?
Do we really, like the other thing is, it's the Overwatch World Cup, it's like, it's one thing. I mean, like, we're not really sports people, as I've mentioned.
In general, so it's like...
So it's like, it's kind of like, but, like, okay, so what's it going to be like? Then I started actually watching some of the coverage, and I'm like, okay,
cool.
This is like, we have a Philly team. We're not, like, completely...
it's not like, yay, we're USA. Okay, USA lost. Okay, now what now do we watch?
Yeah, exactly. Now who do we root for? Watching the... everything coming together for the not the league, for the Overwatch League. I'm curious to see how they're going to expand it, because you cannot they got to expand it for future seasons, because
you got to have more teams in this.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
So this is a good amount of teams for their first year.
Yeah, it's like I am impressed. I'm impressed with the polish of the whole experience, though, because for something that's allegedly not, this is their inaugural outing.
Well, it is. That's different from the World Cup.
Well, yeah, but no. What I'm saying is the fact that that as far as obviously they've learned from the funny thing I've read articles online that they keep describing all the heroes stuff as a failure, and I'm going,
it's not a failure. It's just not the success you wanted.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's like when you have there's failure, which means that you're
losing money. No one's watching it. Nothing's
cares.
happening. No one cares. But I don't think that's the case.
But the problem is that I think that one of the other things that we have to consider as to why Overwatch has a more, what's the way to describe it? The reason why Overwatch has a more enthusiastic fan base is that because your characters, let's be honest, it's partly just the actual presentation of the game you're playing.
It's everything you love about Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. But no, it's partly, but you remember, the thing about it is that as opposed to a MOBAs are for people who like watching football from like the edge of the stadium. No, because it's like people who actually like watching football in a stadium, because that's about what you're watching. You're watching little ants fight amongst because you literally, the idea is that you're not it's not visceral, because you're not on the field with the you can't actually while there it's in the replays and stuff where you can actually watch the field plays, and you can watch the helm cams.
So where Smite might be different.
Yeah,
I don't know if there is any sports coverage of Smite where you actually have a spectator mode that's jumping around and people talking, but it's like, because it's basically third person over the shoulder, even though it is MOBA,
right?
You'd have more of that.
But that's part of the thing, is that a lot of what makes Overwatch fun is a MOBA-like experience. So you have the buildup of power, the ultimate usage, the ultimate economy, where you start...
You have the unique heroes.
Yeah, unique heroes.
Everyone has a different kit.
Everyone has a different role.
Like, a vastly different kit.
Yeah.
And, like, even people who have the same role, their kit is vastly different. The way they fill that role is vastly different.
Right.
You can't use a McCree like you use a soldier. You can't use a Arisha like you'd use a Winston.
You can't even use Arisha like you use a Bastion, which is the closest direct...
But that's only close in an aesthetic sense. It's they're nothing alike mechanically.
But the other thing is that because you're actually... The game itself is presented as to the audience, as you are like literally dumped in the middle of the fight.
Because it's nice in the spectator mode. A lot of times they're usually first person, but they can go to over the shoulder and you can see the character running in front. And I like with a few times they do that. I wouldn't want necessarily the whole game that way.
No, because the thing.
But it's nice for them to have that, to be able to go back and forth
and to be able to pull back. I mean, because then
being able to do slow mo replays.
Well, the other things that then they'll pull back into, they can pull back the top-down mode where you can...
Yeah, you have that top-down map, and you have the icons where everybody is.
You have your football mode.
And what's nice is, like, they have the larger icons over the models that show the characters' faces, so you know who you're looking at, because the silhouettes would be really hard to spot. And they're top-down at that distance, because they're not designed to be. But it's still, you're not looking at a representation of what's happening. It's literally a camera above the actual map with overlays. So you can see the little bullets flying back and forth and whatnot.
And what's also fun is that you actually get to see like their health bars. So you can actually watch people fighting and like watch their health bars on their icons as they're fighting above.
Whoever designed the spectator mode needs a raise.
Yeah,
they haven't already gotten one.
They did a spectacular job making the game watchable. That's the thing. I'm like, because I've watched.
Because having all the information necessary for your viewers in a way that they can absorb almost incidentally without having to think about it is especially important for a game like this. Just even from a player standpoint, having your HUD designed in such a way that you don't have to think about what you're looking at and you know everything that's going on.
Right.
So that's really hard to do.
And I am impressed that they've
done it.
That's like, you know...
I mean, you can see, like, the first World Cup, it was basically just the game. The second World Cup, they had other things in there that they added, like the top-down and the replays and all that kind of stuff.
And now you see with the league, they're definitely enhancing that a bit. They're constantly iterating on the process. Yeah. They're gonna they're talking about improving it further, and I'm going, well, that's awesome because I'm curious to see what further.
Yeah, what more improvements can we do? I'm not saying there aren't any, but I can't think of any.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you're willing to go further than this because a lot of this is surprisingly entertaining. We were kind of caught off guard with how, especially watching the way that how the arena is set up. I mean, the fact that they've got these gigantic,
these gigantic, basically,
LED
billboards behind the teams.
Like they spared no expense.
And the entire board is awash with the team who won. So if you lost, you're suddenly surrounded by by the person who beats you colors, and they are bright ass colors.
Yeah. I just wonder if they got did they have was that part of the drafting process? Was that they had first draft got to pick their colors, and then everyone else had to scramble to get something else? Because I'm surprised how many people picked yellow and orange were very popular this season.
Unfortunately,
and blue, strangely, and I just find it funny that I think are gladiators the only one with they're the only ones with heavy purple in there,
which makes them really stand out. So I'm surprised more teams don't have something like that.
I'm kind of that's, I mean,
when you're looking at a gladiator,
just like I mean, it'd be interesting when Fusion fights Florida Mayhem because they're yellow, so it's gonna be like who am I shooting at? I'm wondering if they have an alt color because
I'm pretty sure they do, because I'm pretty sure I've seen in some matches. The Philly team had more white than orange, and other times they had more orange than white. So I think they do have a palette swap for the skins for times when it's appropriate to have more distinction between the two teams.
Right. Jesus Christ!
Because they did have that during the World Cup.
Yeah.
And that's just a good idea. Because the whole point of having the team skins is so the players can tell each other apart. And you don't want to take those team skins and have it create the exact same problem again.
Yeah, really. Exactly. But that was, so when we were watching the episode, that was kind of where we decided we would talk about this. Because realistically,
it'll be interesting to be actually interested in following a sport.
Yeah, what a novelty.
I mean, I even put, reminders on my phone for the games at the end of this week. Yeah, I'm actually going to try and watch them.
Yeah, it's there's no way in hell we'd actually go see them live because that would involve us going to Los Angeles, which,
visiting Los Angeles wouldn't be so bad.
I mean,
I don't want to go there just to watch an Overwatch game.
Yeah, it's and then, it's
go to Disneyland or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Right next door.
There you go. Yeah, we can go there. I wonder if Blizzard needs to have more tours or tours at all, because I'm they're on their campus.
I would think that if they get big enough and they're successful enough, that they might actually either have a setup that they can move to another town and have a second arena,
Right.
Because if you have more teams, the more teams you have, the more games you have to run.
Yeah.
So you might have games running at the same time.
Yep.
So having like an East Coast facility or a Midwest facility, I can see them expanding their arenas.
Mm-hmm. And
then you would have home games and away games and whatnot.
Right. So, yeah, because the things you have your inaugural cities, I mean, the inaugural cities would be entertaining to have, like, okay, these cities are the ones where we're considering putting satellite studios so that we can actually have, like, even if it's not a purely permanent setup.
Right.
I mean, they get to go to the convention center and put up,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
billboard.
There is a hall big enough at the convention center for them to host the games.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the hall that they're actually in right now is not as big as the arena that they had at the World Cup.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's
not much.
That was insane. It was interesting watching they were actually facing their opponents. That was actually kind of funny. But I
think that'd be a good thing for the city too. If we got a satellite site for satellite site for.
We were having tons of technical difficulties with our mouths today. So.
That would be really bad. Here, I mean, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they could also piggyback their other games on top of that. So yeah, right. They build it mainly for Overwatch, but that doesn't mean they can't use it for Heroes. It doesn't mean they can't do it for anything else.
For the World of Warcraft,
that doesn't mean that somebody else can't rent the arena and use it for their own thing.
Exactly. One of the things that's the other thing was funny is that as much as I've played WoW forever, but I never thought the PvP in the game was balanced enough to make it entertaining to even watch. I didn't particularly like to partake in it because in PvP, especially because if it's nothing's balanced for 1v1, so it's rock paper scissors half the time, or it's like, oh look, someone who's like 3 levels lower than me, I have a snowball's chance in hell of killing them. So depending on the class, if you're a rogue, you just pretty much raffle anything you want. But so the thing is that when I never, as much as I can follow StarCraft.
I haven't tried,
could. StarCraft is relatively easy to follow someone play. The problem with it is that it's a weird game to shoutcast because it is a lot of, and they're better. They were a lot better at it, the StarCraft 2, because I've seen how they used to do StarCraft 1 was there was no spectator mode, so you basically had to have you were basically watching the other people play. Whereas in StarCraft 2, the way they set up the spectator mode,
you can move around the map,
allows you to act independently of the game itself. I think they put that in StarCraft 1 at some point, but
probably
StarCraft 2 is a lot of, because of the nature of the game, it's a lot more like chess in a sense, where it's like you're basically setting up things for a later point. For you're trying to anticipate. You're anticipating your other players more.
Which is probably why it's been so successful.
Right.
I mean, really, StarCraft is the most successful esport.
Right.
To date.
People talk a lot about LoL, but unfortunately, it's like no, because StarCraft's been around. It is still the big...
It is still probably like the biggest.
Uh-huh.
I mean, League of Legends might be number 2, so I'm not saying they aren't up there. But StarCraft has been around for decades, and it is especially in the Asian countries, it is a well-established esport.
Right. It is the
and
training ground. It is the training ground. It's where you cut your teeth on esports, and then break them, and then go buy new ones and put them in and break those too. Until you get your APMs up to something reasonable, and I've seen it absolutely inhuman abilities out of some of those players too, which is why when the fact that they're kind of curb stomping everything, and
we're not surprised by it.
It's kind
Don't get us wrong.
It's more disheartening.
Yeah,
because it's
mostly just disheartening. It's not. Why is this happening? It's I know why this is happening. Why must it still happen?
But that's why the Overwatch World League this past year was way more fun to watch, because it was like
after the first World Cup, the teams got a lot better.
The teams got a lot better. Teams realized who they had to beat and where they had to compete, like what their actual competition was. And so every team was gunning for... Yes, that's the great thing about being on top, is that everybody's gunning for you now. And somebody's looking to be the first... The drive now is to be the team...
The first one to take down South Korea.
Taking down South Korea is the big currently white whale. Let's see if they can harpoon the damn thing.
But, if they could, at least the teams continue to make South Korea fight for it every step of the way, even if they don't take them down, I will wait. Like, even if it takes 5 years, as long as they keep up that harassment, I will be happy. That means our teams are still competitive. Because
the thing is that last year, the problem is that South Korea even kind of came in a little cocky. I remember with this whole attitude of, we're gonna raffle. No, they tried. They won.
A few people they raffled, and they still ended up winning the World Cup. But they had to work for it.
They fought. They fought hard, and they did not handily win it. Mm-hmm. They scraped themselves into that position. So they're looking like a team that
which is just going to make them even harder to beat next year, really,
right.
because they're going to know that people have stepped up their game, and they're just going to step up their game.
They're probably going to pump some new
nanos,
nanobots, and nanobots into Flower, so he can be even more.
He'll come back as Flower 2.0.
Yeah, Flower 2.0. It's like he'll speaking slightly more robotically, and his eyes will glow red. I mean, it's just. And it's like, no offense to him.
We have nothing against these people because he's an amazing player. But it's like, that's just how incredibly amazing he is. It's like, how are you this amazing and still human? Like, wow.
Still say you start piss testing for Adderall, but that's just me. But that's so that was this week for us, and that was what we figured we wanted to discuss with you guys.
Yeah, we managed not to talk about Blizzard for one episode entirely, but hey, you know what? We made up for it. And welcome to the
Blizzard
show.
We may wind up appending at the weekly standings on each after these videos. Now we'll just start.
Yeah, even if we don't talk about it.
Yeah, well, it's like in Overwatch news,
we can post our team's current standing.
There we go.
Because you know what, we're gonna be fans of Fusion.
Yeah, well, we're
gonna do it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna and if they don't make the playoffs, although it looks like they have a decent shot.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, well, at least they still fit in as a Philly team. If they do, well, then Philly will finally have a winning team on its side.
Come for us, Eagles fans.
They do outnumber us.
Yeah. Oh yes, they do. But. It's like I can only but the Flyers. Yeah, well, strangely enough, the same company.
No, see, what'd be great is like because the Eagles are doing really well right now.
Yeah.
I know why I know this.
Because you work with Eagles fans.
Yes. It's like seriously, like everyone in my office follows sports, and all their friends follow sports, so they're always talking about it. I'm like, And when I was talking to one of my vendors. And he's like, "Do you follow the Eagles sports?" The Eagles one's like, "No, I don't really follow sports, but everybody in my office follows it, so something good's apparently happening to the Eagles." But now it's like, hey, it's like if the Eagles lose, but we win. If the Fusion wins, hey, maybe Fusion will take the league. I'm for it. Yeah. You're like, hey, don't feel bad. We did have a Philly team win the competition this year. Really? Who? The Fusion. Who the fuck is that?
Exactly. That would be fun. That would actually be genuinely fun. It's like, look, we have a team we follow.
I have my own sports team, Philadelphia Fusion. Woo!
I kind of almost want to buy.
I should get like a little a Fusion magnet or sticker or something for my desk.
Just like, who the hell is Philadelphia Fusion?
Who's the Fusion? What sport do they play? Overwatch. What sport is that?
What the hell is that?
I think maybe like one or two people who actually work there would necessarily know what it is.
Right.
No, without being explained.
Oh, look at you and your old-fashioned football.
In esports, the football fight back.
But the same person who owns the Flyers owns the Fusion, so it's kind of like which hence
our evil overlords Comcast.
Yeah, Comcast, but which explains the extreme amounts of orange involved. I
mean, it looks okay, but Lord, when the Philly team wins and orange is like. Like, oh my god, it's like you're irradiating people. You better watch out for mutants now. Oof.
But so I think we're gonna let this one wrap for now.
Yeah, we're pretty much dead now.
Okay. So
I'm Monty Swiggles.
I'm Old Man Wolfie. We'll see you next
time.